I remember the laughter like it was yesterday. My parents smirking, the room full of whispers, all because I got $20 at the will reading. They thought it was a joke. Little did they know, I held the key to a secret that would leave them speechless. If you've ever been underestimated, dismissed, or mocked by the people who were supposed to love you, hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video, and watch a story where justice isn't just served, it's perfectly orchestrated. I had always felt like the odd one out in my family. Growing up, my parents had favorites. It wasn't subtle. Every achievement of my siblings was celebrated, every misstep mine magnified. I learned early on that to be noticed, you had to either excel beyond anyone else or simply stay invisible. By the time I was 28, I had chosen the latter. Silent persistence. I built a career quietly, investing years into a business no one in my family understood, let alone believed in. To them, I was the dreamer, the one destined to fail. The invitation to my parents' will reading came like a storm cloud on a cold morning. The moment I walked into that polished, oak-paneled room, I felt it, the undercurrent of expectation. The subtle glances from cousins and family friends. My parents, sitting in the front row, looked like monarchs surveying a crowd of subjects. Their smiles were tight, calculated, and dripping with condescension. The lawyer began with the usual formalities. "We are gathered here today to honor the wishes of your late parents." I nodded politely, heart hammering but trying to stay composed. I'd been through enough family dramas to know how easily decorum could crack. Then it happened. My name was called first. "You, Dana," the lawyer said, unfolding a crisp envelope. "You are to receive $20. Laughter erupted. My mother covered her mouth to stifle a giggle. My father leaned back with a smug look, and cousins exchanged smirks as if they'd just witnessed the punchline of a private joke. My cheeks burned, a mix of humiliation and fury twisting in my stomach. I clenched my fists in my lap, nails digging into my palms. Every muscle in me wanted to storm out, scream, and demand respect. But I stayed seated, pretending to smile. $20. After everything. After the years of sacrifices I'd made. The dreams I'd quietly nurtured. The relentless effort no one acknowledged. It was $20. My mind raced. Is this their idea of a joke? Do they really think I'll accept this? I could feel the stares piercing through me, the judgment and ridicule in every whisper. My parents were loving the attention, soaking up the collective amusement of the room. And then, just as the laughter began to peak, the lawyer cleared his throat. "Actually," he said, glancing down at a small, folded sheet of paper, "there's a private letter just for Dana." The room fell silent. My heart skipped a beat. I looked at my parents. Their smiles faltered, replaced with faint confusion. My mother's hand trembled slightly as she adjusted her pearl necklace. Something was coming, and they didn't know it. The lawyer handed me the envelope. It was heavier than I expected, with a wax seal bearing my father's crest. I tore it open carefully, unfolding a neatly typed letter. My eyes moved rapidly across the page, each line igniting a cocktail of disbelief, triumph, and quiet satisfaction. The letter revealed something my parents had never intended for me to see. They had secretly set aside a significant portion of the inheritance for me, hidden behind legal maneuvers and accounts that even most family members couldn't trace. The $20 joke was deliberate, a diversion, a way to humiliate me publicly while they assumed I'd never uncover the truth. But now, the truth was mine. I read the details aloud, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. "According to the private instructions, I am to receive the family trust, valued at over $1 million, plus all real estate holdings listed under my late parents' name." The room froze. My mother's jaw dropped. My father's face went pale, and cousins shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Every smirk, every mocking glance now felt like it had been stored in a vault, only to return to haunt them. I paused, letting the silence stretch. I could feel their eyes burning into me, a mixture of shock, fear, and most satisfying regret. The room that had moments ago celebrated my supposed insignificance now watched in stunned silence. I looked at my parents directly. "It seems," I said softly, but with unmistakable authority, "that the joke was on you. The $20 was never the inheritance. It was misdirection." My father tried to interrupt, stammering, but I raised a hand. No, listen. I suggest you hear the rest of this letter. I read on, detailing how the funds were to be used, the stipulations on the properties, and even the charitable contributions they had secretly earmarked in my name. With every word, the tension thickened. Every revelation peeled back layers of pride and false superiority they had built over the years. And then, the final line, Dana, your perseverance and patience have not gone unnoticed. The inheritance is rightfully yours, a reward not for being the loudest, but for being the one who stayed true, worked hard and observed. The room erupted not with laughter this time, but with gasps, muttered apologies, and stunned silence. My mother's eyes filled with tears, not the triumphant kind, but the kind that comes when someone realizes they underestimated another human being. My father's smugness was gone, replaced by a hollow expression of disbelief. For the first time in my life, I felt completely vindicated, not just for the inheritance, but for every slight, every sarcastic remark, every moment of being dismissed. I had waited, worked, and observed, and now justice had a face, and it was mine. I didn't gloat. I didn't yell or confront. I simply folded the letter, smiled politely, and said, "Thank you for your confidence. I'll ensure it's well placed." Every word was deliberate, measured, precise. It was poetic justice in its purest form. The humiliation they tried to inflict on me had backfired spectacularly. I had not only claimed my rightful inheritance but also flipped the power dynamics in the room completely. They had underestimated me, laughed at me, and assumed I would never see the bigger picture. And now, they were powerless to deny it. After the reading, as family members trickled out, whispers followed me. Some offered timid congratulations, others avoided eye contact entirely. I felt a strange sense of liberation, not just from the shadow of my parents' favoritism, but from years of self-doubt and insecurity that had been nurtured under their critical eyes. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, the letter folded neatly beside me. I reflected on the journey that had brought me here, the patience, the quiet determination, the refusal to engage in petty arguments, and the decision to let my actions speak louder than words. The revenge wasn't about anger. It was about truth, fairness, and finally claiming what was always mine. It was a lesson I would carry for life. Sometimes, the most satisfying justice is not loud or confrontational. Sometimes it's hidden in plain sight, waiting for the moment when patience and persistence reveal the truth. And as for my parents, they learned a hard lesson that day, not just about underestimating me, but about the unpredictability of human determination. They laughed, they smirked, and in the end, they witnessed the quiet power of someone they had dismissed for far too long. Life has a strange way of balancing itself. Sometimes the loudest victories aren't shouted, they're quietly earned, patiently waited for, and perfectly timed. And when justice comes, it's sweeter than anything money could buy. If you've ever been underestimated or laughed at when no one believed in you, share your story in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because sometimes the sweetest revenge is